Welcome, everyone, to the closing session of the Design Challenge. It's really great to have you all here. I'm excited because we have three really interesting projects that have come out of the Design Challenge. So, one is Ying's threaded, what did you call it? Remind me?
Understanding.
Threaded
Threaded
understanding.
understanding. Uh-huh.
Awesome. And then, I see Micah's here too. Great. And so we're going to have Ying go first. After that, we're going to bring on Micah, and he's going to talk about the early warning application that he designed. And then I will talk about the decentralized intelligence agency solution that I worked on. Micah's still in the waiting room. It sounds like his connection is not going well. Let's wait a few seconds just to see if we can get him in. I'd love to have him be able to see the entire trajectory of the event since he's going next. So we'll wait a second, or maybe we'll just move and when he joins, he will be able to chime in. Hopefully we can get him in. All right. Well, once again, this is the closing session of the Breaking Out of Silos Design Challenge. We're super excited because we have three really interesting designs. There were some other designs that were suggested, but the people either didn't submit it, or there was another submission, but I don't think he's wanting to present today. So, and he also said to hold off in terms of actually sharing it. So we're just going to cover the three submissions that actually have come in. The first one is going to be Threaded Understanding by Ying. The second one will be Micah's Early Warning System. And the third one will be the Decentralized Intelligence Agency. So, Ying, are you prepared to
Mhm.
share?
Yeah, well, I actually don't have a deck. I just didn't have time to do that. But I do, I will talk through what my thoughts, and then I will do a little bit demo of what I've been prototyping. Okay, the idea.
Great. Well,
And
let's say
then,
you have total of you can present for 10 minutes and then we have
yeah,
some question and answers.
no, that'll be plenty. I will talk about 2 minutes and then probably another 2 minutes to demo, and then you can have questions after that. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to talk through the challenge of what I'm thinking could be a design, possible design, and also uh, things around that. Um, so as David said, the title of this is called the threaded understanding, and I'm working on a use case called the multi-platform whiplash, and this is the experience many of us share. Our learning insights and evolving thinking are scattered across podcasts, papers, social media, documents, meetings, and informal conversations, and they don't cohere over time. As a result, people relearn what they already learned. Disagreement resets instead of compounding. Context evaporates when tools change or time passes. This isn't an information overload problem. It's a failure to preserve and evolve shared understanding. So my proposal is a meta layer concept called threaded understanding. The core idea is simple. Instead of organizing knowledge around platforms or documents, we organize it around learner and group-owned topic threads. A topic thread represents how understanding of a topic evolves over time. It accumulates insights, questions, disagreements, and connections without forcing consensus or flattening uncertainty. Crucially, topic threads don't copy content, they connect to it. In practice, a topic thread appears as a lightweight sidebar or adjacent panel that can open alongside a web page, PDF, or a podcast. When someone has an insight, they add it directly to the topic thread without leaving the content they are engaged with. This is enabled by smart tags, which attach specific moments or claims, like a paragraph or a podcast timestamp, into a topic thread without moving or duplicating the original content. These topic threads live inside meta communities. This is one of the primitives, right, of meta layer. Persistent communities that exist above platforms. The community owns the thread, the memory, and the norms, allowing learning to persist across cohorts, disciplines, and time. This has to be a meta layer, not just a better app, because learning continuity needs to outlive any single tool, platform, or institution. If this works, learning becomes cumulative instead of a cyclical. Collective intelligence compounds instead of resetting. If it doesn't, we keep losing insights, just faster. So this submission is intentionally conceptual. The goal is not to ship a solution, but to make a missing coordination layer visible. So that's kind of my thought around it. And I guess I can open for questions before I jump to the kind of a showing, or do you want me to just go right into showing?
I think this is brilliant because you're taking something that's been cataloged page by page and you're basically compounding, you're merging and meshing the data, and that could be well served by the collective authenticity of that actual data rather than separate pieces put together. It's like, you're meshing a puzzle.
Yeah, you need a container to put the adjacent thoughts or similar thoughts together within the group or
Mhm.
individually. That then you figure out a way to connect across these communities also. So within the community, you learn across the web, but you also need a layer
Mhm.
connecting the communities so
Converging
that
it.
they
Mhm.
so they can discover each other. So that was the general idea. And Jack has also a similar idea, but I think his idea is at a higher level, and he has a even better naming of things. Jack, if you want to talk a little bit about your idea, or you want to save it for your presentation on Friday, either way,
I
because
I I I want everything I say to tomorrow to be a surprise.
okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha,
It's
gotcha.
not tomorrow, Jack. You're talking on
I'm sorry,
Friday.
Friday,
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Uh, so everybody, make sure you attend Jack's session. I love his stories. Okay. All right, then.
Any
Then
other questions?
any other
Let's open
thoughts
up
or
and make sure there's more
questions?
questions.
And yeah, otherwise I'll give you a little bit of demo on my experiment.
And
I have a
Ying,
question.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead, Z.
I just wanted to ask if you could share the narrative that you read
Oh,
because
sure.
I wanna piece through all of the concepts you shared with us just now.
Oh, sure. You want me to share it now or later or?
Whenever I don't want to
Actually,
interrupt your
we may
demo.
even, if you want to have a further exploration around that, what I can do, I'll show you what I did with this. I can publish that page, And then you can sign up on a hypothesis page, and then you can comment on it. Then you can evolve all the thoughts around that. All
Great.
right, that
Great.
sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, yeah. So let's do that. It will become a little bit clearer to you how this is going to work once I show you what I've done. Yeah, Sawa, you have a question? Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I suggest just to have a link or join what Mr. David said yesterday about canopy, and
Mhm.
the what you have mentioned now. Just a bit of what you have mentioned of sharing knowledge and I mean that we don't just change platforms and change devices from one period, one era to another. We just have the knowledge and cumulative learning, not something like you learn for instance and then you forget. No. So by the canopy, a canopy that Mr. David said yesterday, we can link them uh,
Mhm.
by by having community members saying the knowledge and the other one, the new generation, to check this knowledge, the old knowledge said by the canopy of the old one, just read them and put more. It means more cumulative learning,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
cumulative.
Great, great. Yeah, it sounds like you like the idea and you like David's canopy. Yeah, that's great. David, you want to say something?
Your
Oh,
idea too.
Mhm.
just to piggyback on that, I mean, I think everything that you've talked about totally fits into Canopy. And I also wanted to throw back at you the same
Mhm.
question that we were talking about yesterday with respect to the siloization of knowledge even within a community. So I'm asking, I guess, do you anticipate that some elements of a threaded understanding
Mhm.
could be made public or how they could be made to other available to other communities?
No, absolutely, absolutely. So let me show the demo, not demo, but the prototyping I've done with hypothesis because I'm pretty enthusiastic about trying to use existing tools to implement ideas. So this is kind of my experiment with what's existing and how this illustrate the thought, the design I have in mind. And then hopefully this will trigger some new ideas and people will can just go and share them. And I'm going to start with this. This is the text document. For those of you who attended the learning session that I used like a PowerPoint kind of presentation. So this is the text document with like a if it speaker scripts, if you will, but it's a document for that session. So I published it to the web, and as a way to experiment using hypothesis. And I did post a link of interview that I had with CEO of Hypothesis, Joe Joe. And in that video, he did this extensive demos of the hypothesis and answered more questions there. And so this was available in Signal. And I also created a tutorial hypothesis if anybody wanted to try it. The reason I feel this is important is that before I was exposed to hypothesis, when David was talking about meta layer, I can't visualize it. I cannot feel it. I cannot understand what does he meant, what he meant when he say uh, kind of a having a layer above the web, right? So hypothesis gave me that bridge to have a little bit understanding of how that works. So hopefully this will show you how it works. So this is a one, just consider this page a one web page on the website. And hypothesis, so I'm opening on the side, I've opened the hypothesis in a public view. Oh, I think I didn't, sorry, let me, I was experimenting with something. Okay, so in the public view, what happens is that you can highlight here any of the text or images, and then you see this. You can either highlight it or annotate it, right? And so I have something. So these are some of my annotations in relation to this page, but I want to show you how you can discover others that actually annotated on it. So if we go to here, who was Douglas Engelbart? So takes us to the Wikipedia. Normally you would just see this page, but with hypothesis, what you see now, you see other people who have commented on this, and they also shared additional document that they learned about Douglas Englewood. For example, so there is another document shared here. I can click on it. Now I see an additional document about him. And if a lot of people comment on this, then it's much quicker to actually learn about the topic, and not only from the original source from the website, but also people who also have read those and commented on them. Just give you a few more examples. Mothers or demos, that's another page. And again, this is the page, but then if you go to hypothesis, this is somebody else also commented on it. And the next one will give you a little bit more. So augmented human intellect is another concept. So come here, you go to hypothesis. This one has a lot of comments. So you can see a lot of people were reading this document and putting comments and sharing additional links. That gives you a very rich experience of learning about something. You get to see what other people have thought about it and what their opinions are and things like that. So this is kind of a related to the threaded understanding is like it's organized around the topic, and then then you get everybody's kind of a annotation there that help you also learn and collectively help people learn. And these are all publicly available annotations. And to answer David's question about, so yesterday we had this question, what if the group is not ready to share with the public and they want to work within the group? Then the follow-up question is, would that create a silo? So in this scenario, it actually worked out pretty well because hypothesis has a way to create private groups. So I try to create some private groups, right? And if you create a private group and you go there, then actually this, because we're still on this document, I don't have any annotation there. But basically, you can have private, sorry.
You mean like Signal? Like you can create groups on Signal.
Yeah, like any of the social media where you can have groups and I don't know what's happening. I think I just opened up another page or something. Yes. So it's basically I don't have a whole lot of notes there, so it's kind of maybe hard to show you. Yeah. Okay. So this is a subgroup I created, like a private group I created, and in there I also highlighted this concept of augmented collective learning. And what I want to show is it's possible to create these private groups, and that group actually can be my group of my topic thread, or it could be a small group or community topic thread. That's how I kind of see this link to the design challenge. And then, so David, I also did something else. Is because you mentioned about let's try to use a hypothesis to have invite people to comment on the RFC, right? I tried that and I think it's a hard you either using hypothesis or using the comments. So and compared to collaboration in Google document. So then what I did, I experimented this here. Basically, now if I want everybody to collaborate on this topic, augmented collective learning, I put a link to a Google document that's open to everybody to comment. So this way, with the existing technology, you can actually, I'm going to just share this link. I'm inviting you to put some comments in there. And that Google document, I personally feel Google Documents is very good for collaboration on one document. Like you can put the comments, you can edit directly with the change kept, and also the comment is context is directly to the sentence that you want to comment it on. So anyway, so that's one extra experiment I kind of was doing, and I think so if I go to my own ID, right, it will tell you all the annotation I've done. And this is where the smart tags are used for, I think, because for your own learning or for your group learning. So if I go to group, it will only show, for example, I created a group, and so this will be only the tag that's relevant to that group. It doesn't show you everything else. But otherwise, and then you can from there you can actually go to like a different pages where the annotation happens and things like that. So I really like that feature also of a hypothesis. That's it. So, any questions? So, yeah, it's a very preliminary kind of just prototyping. I'm just thinking because I personally have this problem of knowledge management, both at the personal level and the group level, and now that David introduced the meta layer, so it makes it even more complicated. But I think the meta layer, the key function of meta layer is that above the web piece is the linkage. I think even when I was looking at the canopy, I think the linkage is even more important than the actual community creation itself because individual communities and individual things exist currently. It's just not linked. So if we can solve that linking challenge, I think that would be fantastic. Okay, anyway, questions. I hope it's clear or
Ying, I had a couple questions. I'm wondering if you can speak to that in the chat.
I'll try. Oh, you already have. How would you address the overwhelming volume of comments, single individual consumption? So I think this will decide by the community. I think the community should have a norm of what to share, how to share it, and how to aggregate things. Or I think that like any community, you need some moderator. You need a smaller group that moderate the conversation and synthesize what's happening. The key is that it you don't you don't want to bring everything into one single consensus in this case because we're all learning. You want to keep the different views visible, but you do need someone um, curating the content, I think, in the sense that aggregate them or yeah, yeah. And I think actually once AI actually is very good at that. We could also bring AI as a collaborator in this whole environment. When you have like 100 people commenting on things, it's relatively simple for AI to synthesize that and tell people that these are the key view.
I'm really glad you answered that way because I was looking for somebody with or a solution that had um, better ability to facilitate
Is it
all of
humanly impossible?
yes. And I think having an AI seat that functions as that and people know that they may be tapped or have some kind of summation doesn't, we always question whether AI dilutes some of the things it aggregates together. That's another problem to solve. But I think having some ability to synthesize the volume would be a wonderful addition to this.
This all depends on how you prompt it. If you ask it to only give you a consensus view, it will give you that. But if you ask it to give you all the views in different categories, it will do that for you. It's really up to the community to decide on what they want. David?
Yeah. Could you go back to hypothesis just to show that again?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page with you. So
Mhm.
that I guess the idea would be that you would highlight a piece of text in the document, maybe. So
Yeah, so
highlight and
let's try it. Mm, let's say, I don't know, decision making?
then so you would have a menu come up instead of this, it would be the threaded understanding smart tag. You might put in a little bit of information or maybe it is just a button like this and you click that button and it would insert whatever you just highlighted into the threaded understanding. So that would show up in the sidebar. Is that the idea?
This is how, yeah. So right now, this is how it can be done, right? So you highlight and it actually didn't, yeah, you highlight and then you have a way to comment, annotate that, and it will be kept in whichever, whether it's only to you or to a group or to a public. So this is how currently it's done. And
Right.
and I think as long as you have a thread, a topic that of common interest to a group of people, and they want to jointly evolve that concept, I think a mechanism like this can be very helpful.
Okay.
Does that
And
answer the question? Yeah.
the so but the ultimate threaded understanding application, the sidebar would actually have it would be a little bit different than this in that it would be pulling information from multiple pages and collapsing them, not collapsing them, but allowing them all to live in the sidebar because they are connecting across pages. Is that how that would work with the threaded understanding?
Just as it is right now, right? I would, if I were to use the existing hypothesis to implement it, I would create a private group with that title, with whatever topic that we want to learn, let's say collective learning or Engelbart, right? So that will be the topic. And then everybody, as they going through different web pages, everybody can open up hypothesis, go to that group, and then highlight what they think is relevant and they find it useful and they want to comment on, and they will just save it into that private group. So once you contributed, I contributed, somebody, and D contributed, then you go to that private group, you will have a list of all the annotations in there. And the other way to reduce information overload is using the tag. So if we intentionally tag these pieces of information when we share them, then later, or the community can decide on a set of tags that they always use, for example. And then later will be, so when you open the private group, you will have all the annotations, but then you will also have another layer of smart tags that you can use to pull up different subtopics from it. That makes sense?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, are there any other questions or reflections that people want to share about Ying's project?
So Ying's project is remarkably parallel, but not intersecting with what I'm going to talk about.
But you want to keep it a secret right now, right?
I know. Give us a hint.
Well,
We want a teaser. We want a teaser. Come on. Come
okay,
on.
my teaser will be this. I will be expressing a personal worldview and its justification, but I will also be adding another speaker, Marc-Antoine Perron, because I impacted his worldview and he impacted mine, and I've asked him to add one more slide which reflects what he's thinking. But the overall worldview is based on the premise that we can and we must change the global narrative.
Hey, that's
It's
quite a teaser.
really, really important. And I'm not going to say any more because then I become contradictory to some of what Ying said. But I like what Ying said.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Yang. It's really a great project. And I know you didn't initially anticipate doing it. And so you had a shorter amount of time, but I think it really came out well. And I appreciate you
Yeah.
stepping up to that.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I had a lot of fun along the way.
Yeah, great job,
Awesome.
Yang.
You did.
Thank
All right. Micah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi,
Are
everyone.
you
How are you
ready?
doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I'm also excited to
Wow.
present something today.
Well, that's excellent because we're bringing you up to present right now.
Sure, no problem. Available. So,
All
first of all,
right.
you allow me to share my screen. I have a presentation. Just a minute. So, for today, I'll present the early warning as a meta layer, making public safety information travel with people. I will be addressing the gap in timely public safety information during emergencies through innovative online solutions. Introduction to early warning as a meta layer. Can you please confirm if you're seeing my screen?
We are.
Yeah.
Okay, great. This presentation outlines the innovative approach of integrating early warning as a meta layer to improve the dissemination of critical public safety information during emergencies by addressing the challenges in reaching individuals effectively. Particularly in the context of Kenya, we aim to illustrate how this concept can reshape the safety information landscape and ensure timely alerts reach those who need them most. I think that's self-explanatory. We'll go to the next one. The problem we are solving, timely access to public safety information. So the first one will be critical alerts often go unseen. During emergencies like floods and public health alerts, critical safety information is often trapped on government platform that many people don't visit regularly, leading to delayed awareness or risk of risk. Sorry. The second one is user behavior misunderstood. While safety alerts are published, assumptions about user behavior, such as actively checking for updates, are flawed. Most individuals are engaged with other online activities, missing out on essential information. The third one will be dangerous information gap. The gap between where individuals are browsing various online platforms and where safety information exists creates a significant risk, particularly in time-sensitive situations where quick action is needed. So the current failures in the information dissemination, I got a chance to get 4 of them. The first one will be failure of coordination exists. The second one will be public alerts lack visibility. The third, trust in sources is fragmented. The fourth one will be misinformation prevails rapidly. So the target audience for this early warning meta layer, they will be daily web users in crisis, students and academic staffs, media professionals seeking updates, NGOs and community leaders. I hope I'm not going too fast. Proposed interventions, early warning as a meta layer. This intervention aims to enhance the delivery of critical public safety information by integrating a lightweight sidebar or overlay that provides real-time verified alerts directly within the user's browsing experience. It ensures that safety information is contextually relevant and accessible, regardless of where users are online. Meta-layer primitives, sidebars, and smart tags. So we are going to look where this can be used. The sidebar overlays enhance users' engagement. Sidebars and overlays provide an unintrusive way to display critical safety alerts directly within the user's browsing environment, allowing them to remain engaged with their current content while staying informed about emergencies. The second one, we look at smart tags provide contextual relevance. Smart tags enables alerts to carry essential context, such as location and type of emergency, ensuring that users can quickly understand the relevance of the information, regardless of the web page they are viewing. So for this, I was thinking that maybe we can introduce something like when the emergencies are too dangerous, we can incorporate things like making them buttons that are red to show that this is very dangerous, something like that. And we can also use some orange buttons, or even we can also use some green pop-ups to show that the place is safe, maybe to visit, or even the emergencies have been solved, or something like that. So we look the importance of timely public safety alerts. During emergencies, timely public safety alerts are vital for ensuring that individuals receive critical information when they need it most. By effectively integrating alerts into the environment where people already are, we can minimize panic, combat misinformation, and enhance public trust in verified sources of information. So the next, we look at potential impact of the proposed solution. Understanding the transformative effects of integrating early warning as a meta layer in public safety communication. So the first one we look at, it will enhance accessibility. Critical alerts are disseminated directly to users within their current browsing context, ensuring timely access to safety information. Second one will be it will reduce misinformation. By providing verified updates, the system decreases the likelihood of panic and misinformation spreading during emergencies. It will increase trust, reinforcing trust in official sources as alerts are sourced from verified channels, improving public confidence in safety communications. Some time back, we talked with David about incorporating trust badges in Canopy, where either the bodies that are dealing with emergencies or people that are into emergencies or crises, they can be the one informing the public about either this crisis or the way forward to deal with these crises. So the next one, it will proactive engagement. Users engage with information proactively as alerts become part of their online experience rather than something they must actively seek outside from the pages that they are already in. So in conclusion, the need of structural change in safety information delivery. The early warning as a meta layer concept addresses the crucial gap in timely access to public safety information during emergencies. By integrating safety alerts into users' browsing experiences, we can ensure that critical information reaches individuals proactively, fostering a more informed and responsive society. I think that's all that I have for today, but I will share our document for this in the chat. That's all that I had to present for today.
Okay. Well, could you walk us through a scenario, a couple different scenarios, maybe? Just tell a story about how this might be used.
Okay, this must be used. For instance, I will use the example of Kenya because we are heading towards the election period, and maybe let's say maybe someone would like to do an event in Kenya during the year of 2027, and maybe hopefully the country should not experience post-violent elections, and maybe let's say that's the case, and that person doesn't have access to maybe the newsrooms in Kenya, or even the newspapers in Kenya, or even maybe this person doesn't know where to source this type of information. So using this early warning concept, like we can use people from Kenya to update anybody in the world who is already online that there is a situation in Kenya at this period of the year, and the alert maybe can be in red to show that this time of the year you cannot come into our country because we have this certain of situation, and maybe the government could also turn off the internet because kinda they have the tendency of doing so. You can take example of Uganda. Uganda did it recently. So you can find a lot of people don't have access to the internet, and this causes them to not have information about what's happening in a particular country. So I guess I can use that for now, or even I can use an instance of floods. Maybe we can use a body like Red Cross to inform people that we have floods in a place called Kano, and even they can help them with the way forward to deal with the floods, or even they can inform them the safety spots where they can go before the floods get to normal. I think that's all that I have.
All right. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts about this?
I have just put something in the chat. We have in the US Amber Alerts. It's by law, but they implemented it through the Federal Communications Commission and in partnership with telecommunications providers. So if there's an abduction, there's some real a quick alert that's sent out to area device holders, and it comes up on everybody's uh, device for a short period of time. But it's also on digital traffic highway marquees. So it's coordinated, and your uh, presentation reminded me that that is somewhat in one form. Um, but also first responders are really going to need this kind of information for safety in all kinds of different situations. So I love the use case because it gives us some practical ways of imagining how we can better communicate using the meta layer.
Yeah, sure. And also for the first respondents, we can give them trust badges. For instance, when they comment, people can take them seriously, so that so so that they can believe this information is true from the verified people, or even the organizations.
I see Suzanne has a comment here. How could low orbit assist if land-based telecommunications are down for information sent and received? And that's a really interesting question. Is there a way to plug into these low orbit satellites to bring information that could then be displayed? Well, actually, I guess what we're wondering is whether there's a way to connect and get information from them even if the web is down. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and also if there's designated, satellite for first responders would benefit, and however, being able to, when it's weather related, that I know that that's an issue. So it would be resources from ground and low orbit systems connecting together for one designated satellite capability that could definitely, I mean, to me, the meta layer would need to exist on this type of a platform going forward.
Or a
That's
mesh network that could connect to,
absolutely, absolutely. With, if one geographical area is compromised, that it can depend on another grid in another geographical area. And then, so the bandwidth could be conserved, but this would be partitioning for military uses currently. But look at other space options as well above low orbit. But yeah, it's some of the things I've been researching. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, let's see.
Melinda.
Yes, this is great. So, Mike, I had mentioned to David something I want to bring up to you. I didn't present, but in times past, I've talked about uh, wanting to use the meta layer and the capability, canopy, and various things that you all are familiar with through this design challenge for a concept called marked safe. And I use the term marked safe because Facebook has it. The use case was born out of a friend of mine who moved from the US to the Gambia and was suddenly reported dead. And it had become clear through some people who are also in the Gambia that they were organizing welcome centers, that there was kind of a lack of information for a lot of people who would move, away from the U.S. and go to, in this case, Africa, different countries, uh, so that you could track if they were okay, if they weren't okay, you couldn't find them, who even you would connect to in the US or otherwise, right? Who would be able to get to them. And I liken that to the marked safe feature of Facebook when you have, things happen and people are able to go on and say, I'm marking themselves safe. So that's why that's the name. When David mentioned what you were doing with early warning, I said, really could have this other component. And so I just want to mention that because I think it's very, very useful, necessary, desired. And the last piece I'll say around that is when I think about the Meta Layer Initiative, I think about desirable properties like dynamism and real-time information and crowdsourcing information and two-way communication. And so I think these types of use cases really lend to that. So in some ways, what I'm talking about having to do with individuals being cataloged, having almost, I heard Amber Alert mentioned, almost a set of information that can be accessed if necessary for them, and then dynamically acted upon by those who need to act upon it. Um, it is in a way an early warning system or similar, or, they work the same. And I love the conversation around Leos being used or whatever from a mechanism perspective to make sure that that communication is always available, because that would be a question. And you brought it up, Micah, for people who don't have internet, or, when it's not available, how would you solve around that? But today, I think, at least in the situation what I'm talking about, it's kind of a known issue. People moving from UK and the US and ending up not being able to be found or until it's too late. In fact, the person that we met with on this issue ended up also not alive shortly after that. Really, really a crazy situation. She was out in New York. And so a few of us on the call met and talked about this application as related to my girlfriend. And I met her because of that. And then she also, and there was all this question around how do you get to the right people? Who are the people, or what have you, when people are in these situations. So I just want to bring that up because I brought it up to David. It's definitely something that there was work already put into how you would integrate the technical solution with the on the ground solution, right? People who are actually working and doing things. Um,
Melinda, your point is really well taken. I mean, it's when a parent has a child go missing and you would have given anything for a meta biotag, right?
yep,
You
yep,
know, like you chip your dog, but
yep.
there's so many privacy, and with your friend, right? But when you deploy or you sign up to go and you're doing public service work, I mean, I would get the chip. I know it's a sensitive topic, but
But you're talking about some
individual, like you can, you know how with
permission.
with Google Maps, right? If I allow that when I'm going to my son's home, let's say, and I let him in and he can track my movement, right? By my vehicle on Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
You accept it through your phone. And so he can track me. It's like when you're in the airplane, right? You can see in real time where the plane is and over what state. It's and you see its prediction and when it's time to land and it goes minute by minute. You know how when you're on the airplane, I always track the plane, like see where I'm,
Mhm.
what state I'm above. But
Mhm.
and you take all these technologies, so you have them in transportation, you have them in maps when you drive, and this is just putting on a whole nother layer.
Yes.
Yeah. And the meta layer allows for you to control who sees what information. That's a big part of it.
Ooh,
DP4, no FOSSA is on with data sovereignty. So it's ripe for the application space.
yeah, that was a
That's
good
all
point.
I have.
That was excellent example.
Yang, did you have a comment
No, I
earlier?
remember you mentioned about having personal health information on the meta layer. I think in an emergency situation, this could be very useful, uh, given that we have access to the web or to that it's available. And the other thing is, I think a mobile phone is owned by more people than just access to the web. So that could be, I
Oh
don't
gosh.
know if that links to the meta layer. And how does, I guess my question, how does meta layer operate on the phone? If it can operate on the phone, it will be much more widely used, I think.
Oh, I do too.
Well, yeah, you make a good point. There are significant constraints to the meta layer on mobile, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done. And we are thinking about different options. Certainly, a progressive web app or a mobile app are two different ways to do it. It if something's in the application silo right now, I don't believe that there's technology that will allow us to layer on top of an application and be cognizant of what we're layering on top. I know that you can, so YouTube now allows you to layer a video view on top of anywhere on your mobile screen and you can move it around, but I don't believe that piece of code actually knows what's below it.
But
So it doesn't know.
the satellite phone system does.
Uh, I'm not
Uh,
familiar, but okay.
You know, the the you can purchase the satellite phone through T-Mobile,
Mm.
where it detects where you are down in the valleys. Campers use it. It's a
Oh
hundred.
yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
But you take that layer and maybe that platform, and this is where kind of where this meta layer could exist, right? On top of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then so I just want to add on something in terms of when we were having the conversation, when I was having the conversation with Ying about the possibility of storing medical data, to be clear, that only works if we have our own personal vault, that each of us have our own keys, and that we have to approve any use of our data or even the visibility of the data. It would be by default off, and I would have to sign
Yeah,
for some
the HIPAA.
other application to have
Yeah,
access to it, of
yeah, that would
course.
be HIPAA. That would be HIPAA.
Yeah, and Jack mentioned that in there as well. Are there any more questions or comments around Micah's excellent application?
Very good.
I was just wondering if there, in the meta layer there could be a kind of an API that would work with the web. Because right now, having a way to get information across all the web channels is going to be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm just wondering if there's a super API that could be created that would have some built-in privacy issues and ways to prevent information from getting, some bad actors getting in touch with it.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
validation and security you're speaking about is just so paramount. Deal with that all the times, but yes, thank you for bringing that up.
yes, it is possible, and I think it would be great to have something like that. Would love to maybe if it different venue or different time to have a conversation around that. That seems like a really rich area to explore, Stella.
Okay,
So,
I'm open to it.
Awesome. Okay.
David,
Uh,
one more comment, and it's not just related to the example we saw now, but it's just so inspiring to see. I really love the use case because it has global application. And I would want to put something on our maybe future agenda to approach the X Prize Foundation to have it as a global challenge as one of their prize challenges. I will work with you, David, with my connectors there, because if we can promote this, we can accelerate the making and really put some high energy behind it.
It's a good idea.
wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just very
Absolutely.
just good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Micah. That was really inspiring. And I think it opens up so many questions and so many possibilities. Really appreciate you. All right. So next up is me. This is an idea that I've been thinking about for a while. I have yet to present it, so I'm super excited to actually bring it up and get your feedback. I don't have as cool a presentation as Micah, so bear with me. Let's see. All right. Just getting there right now. Okay, here it is. Not share, slideshow. Okay, my project is called the Decentralized Intelligence Agency, or the DCIA. And it's a meta community for open source investigations and public sense making. It's a shared layer for people who are investigating things like crimes, government corruption, uh, long-term or even short-term mysteries that people want answers to. Is designed to preserve memory, context, and disciplined disagreement. The problem is that investigations, first of all, there's not a lot of support for public investigations, period. And the extent to which they happen, they fragment across platforms. Evidence disappears into feeds. People relitigate the same claims over and over in each of the different platforms. Even within the same platform, people relitigate the claims because they're not actually using a platform designed for collective sense making. The primary use cases in with respect to the design challenge are the comment section disaster and the community with no memory. And the DCIA turns arguments into navigable investigation, open source investigation. Um, how it's used, a listener would flag a time-stamped claim in a podcast, or there's an image somewhere on some web page, and they would essentially flag that. And then later on, maybe someone else will come later on and say, oh, well, actually, there's some contradicting evidence. And then a couple weeks later, someone can come back and see the full reasoning trail. It's all visible. Uh, the core primitive that we're using is a collaborative timeline. And the way I came about this was because I was noticing that there's actually a movement on YouTube right now. It started mid 2025, or actually towards the end of 2025, with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Uh, Many, maybe 100, but at least I'd say I personally know of 30 to 40 creators, podcasters, researchers who are actively investigating this crime, and they're putting their evidence on the web, getting information and critique and comments from others. They are also asking for tips and getting tips from their listeners, which they then present as well. It's pretty amazing. And the thing that I saw was they were all creating timelines. And so each one of them would say, well, here's my timeline. And maybe even here's timeline A, timeline B, and timeline C, because they had different timelines for different things. Like there was one for the assassination, there was one for Charlie Kirk's life, another for his wife's life. And yeah, people are making timelines for all different kinds of things, but they're not shared. So this new primitive would be a shared living record of claims, evidence, and verification states. And it would be, its purpose would be to preserve temporal context rather than to actually make conclusions. So, what would the timeline answer? Well, what is claimed, who claimed it, when, and with what evidence? What it wouldn't do, well, it wouldn't decide who's got the truth. It wouldn't say who's the winner, who got this right, who got this wrong, and it would not replace human judgment. So we're not going to let the AI would not be the owner of the timelines. A human would. So the interface concept, this is rough. Bear with me. But the idea is that someone would come to an item, and in this case, maybe there's this timestamp, and they'd select it. It would pop up with a number of different smart tag options. They would select the one for this collaborative timeline, and when they activate that, it would then put the item into a specific collaborative timeline that it belongs in. So they essentially would right click or select, however, this piece of content, select the decentralized intelligence agency smart tag, and then specify which specific timeline it goes on. And maybe there may be some more information, including tags and other things that they would provide. They activate that, and it just pops into the timeline with all the meta information that they've specified. So the smart tag, as I just mentioned, you highlight a moment, you add it to the timeline, and that information that it actually, of course, stays where it is, but it also gets added to the timeline, and there's essentially a connection back to that specific piece of information. So if someone's looking at the timeline, they can easily navigate to the actual source information. So claim time versus event time is very important distinction. The claim time is when someone goes ahead and activates the smart tag. The event time is when it actually happens, and we need to make sure that those two things stay separate, and that you should actually be able to order the timeline by both the claim times and the event times. Both are interesting. Verification states, things could be claimed, they could be supported, meaning it's a claim, but it also has supporting evidence. They could be disputed, they have disputing evidence, and they could be unresolved as well. And I'm sure there's probably some other verification states. Why timelines are important? They're important because they externalize memory and they shift the focus from belief to inquiry. So we're actually, instead of operating on just what's in our mind, we actually have something concrete to point to that justifies our actions. And it's something that not only I can see, but other people can see too. So it reduces the possibility of narrative distortion. Why do timeline change debate? they change how we think and they change how we debate because disagreement can be much more specific if we're able to look at a specific timeline, and it's a shared view. So we're disagreeing on specific points that are in a shared structure rather than just talking about things without actually having something for a shared structure for us to reference. And what it allows for uncertainty to be acceptable. Um, this shared structure, it doesn't force us to believe the same thing, but it just puts everything on the table, and it puts it on the table in a way that we all can see it and we can see the whole information of what is claimed, and then we can decide, what does it mean? And the role of AI, it would help with extracting information and recall, but overall, humans would do the reasoning. Now, I'm not saying that AI couldn't help with the reasoning, but ultimately it would be the humans making the judgment calls. The role of the AI would be to potentially support that process, but not to actually make any judgments. Why does this matter? Well, without timelines, narratives ossify, and whoever has the loudest voice basically can somewhat control the conversation and the view of what actually occurred. But with timelines, we have this possibility of us coming together and creating something together that actually could be more coherent and a more accurate view of the thing than the narrative that is just more of a story that links together cherry-picked pieces of information. The bottom line is that the DCIA doesn't decide what's true, but it makes sure that we actually remember how we got to where we are. So
or
that's
or
what
where
I've got.
yeah. Or where you are, or when a crime was committed. I mean, there are,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Any thoughts? And Jack, I see that you have a timeline. I don't know what that is, but if you wanted to speak to what you just put in there. Or D, I see you say time equals factual and foundational. How would you factor in fake evidence? Oh, I think fake evidence goes in the timeline as well. And we just need to have allow people to counter. So if specific pieces of information are put in a timeline, then there needs to be ways within the timeline structure that people can contest specific specific things that they think are incorrect.
Like your credit
Jack?
report, like if a credit report, that should go well. When you, and,
Well, at least it's
you're
not a
intelligent in that.
That's too personal, Suzanne.
Oh, oh, when they get it totally off, or they make you somebody you're not, and you're like, what? You're married to
Right.
who?
And I think that's where a lot of the true disruption comes from, this
Yeah.
false narrative, false images, false angles, false interpretations. And I think somehow we need to not filter for that, but I don't know, just we have
Yeah.
we have to flag it in a way that the people that really want to get to a version of this truth based on, here's the factual timeline, here's the real images, and here's the first hand account, not third hand account of what happened. Those have a more weighted contribution to the truth. Um, but it's always concerning because they're so good at introducing
Yeah, it's all based on in the legal system. It's who has the most money for the highest paid attorney.
yeah,
I mean, it's not about the justice. It's that people settle because they don't have the money to defend themselves.
yeah.
That's true. Jack.
So I picked up on the timeline thing, and David, you really, really, really struck a chord. Um, in 2017, I was researching a keynote speech for Tokyo um, on my worldviews related to their project, which was to be an open source Watson, believe it or not. Um, and I just said, one of the ways you bring people together is you organize a global timeline, essentially the history of the planet. Now, there's some JavaScript widgets. They're called simile widgets. They came out of MIT. They're kind of dated because they're old-fashioned JavaScript, and nobody's really the funding disappeared, so they're not updating them. However, when I was doing my research, I stumbled on the fact that Bill Gates was walking on his trampoline on his treadmill at home one morning watching a film called Big History. And by the way, you can get the DVD at Amazon called Big History. It's a collection of DVDs about sort of the big history. And he said, "Oh my God." And he decided that it would take too long for him to get his foundation to fund it. So he just put $1 million of his own into UC Berkeley to build an open source platform and put it in classrooms where kids would do research on a topic and they would put their dots in this timeline. And then that was their way of learning and the way of seeing the temporal sequencing of things to do. And I did that in the context of a variant of that I was already thinking about, in which each dot on the timeline, if you click on it, it takes you to a topic map of that event. Everything's events. So take the history of the great religions. That's a whole bunch of timelines, some forking, some operating in parallel, et cetera, et cetera. And there's all these events. You can go to the Crusades. That's an event, actually a series of them. And each one is its own topic, and each one is subject to the grand vision I'm going to talk about on Friday. Another hint. Um, the point being that we can start at the beginning and put in what we know about the dinosaurs and the evolution of mammals and so on and so forth, and grow it all the way up to whatever we want. And then you have layers, so you just choose what kind of view you want and follow it. So David, you're pitching good stuff here. It's it, it's it's really the future. So I put that in, and the problem is that I noticed that Microsoft is now claiming the project, but it's actually at GitHub, and there's a couple of web pages about it. But that was the first Google hit I could find because it's it's since 2017 when I found it, and I don't want to go back and find all those pages, but um, it's an open source project. It's implemented in Microsoft's own language and requires that you have an account on their server, their database. So it's not for everybody, but it's there, and classrooms had spectacular results. And then, of course, the funding ran out and it's over. But we can do it in open source,
Well,
truly open source, as a part of the as a part of a learning platform that relies on aspects of the meta level to make it work.
yep. Well, man, I'm glad that you brought that out. That's super interesting. I'm very excited to take a look at it and see how it stimulates the thinking around timelines. That's super cool, Jack. Thank you.
So I have
Let's
a question,
see.
David.
Mhm.
I have a question. Do you know of any open source project that are building this meta layer?
Canopy.
Canopy is open source?
It will be open source, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I didn't know it's open source. Okay.
So, are there any other comments or questions around this DCIA? Oh, did I hear something from somebody? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. No? Okay. All right. Couple things that I want to mention to close out the DCI part. One is it's already happening. I mean, they're doing it out on YouTube right now, but they're just not as effective as they could be. And they're also, in a way, kind of in a thought silo because they don't have a way to really communicate this to a broader audience. And I think timelines could be very helpful, or it also could be just helpful in um, helping people crystallize their thinking because there's something visible to crystallize your thinking around, whether you agree with the entire timeline or not. And what I did was just say, well, how could we help this group of people that are already doing something that's super noteworthy? I mean, I think that this movement is just it's so exciting and hopeful to me, the notion that people of the world would be coming together and discussing crimes and mysteries and things that have been obscured. It's just if we're moving towards truth, because I think truth is probably the only thing that we can all agree on, maybe, right? If we can agree on anything, we're not all going to agree on religion, we're not all going to agree on government, but hopefully we can agree on, truth to a certain extent, the objective truth. I know a lot of there are people who just say, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing. But I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not in that camp.
Yeah, but David, what's really cool is what YouTube offers me is all the information that isn't reported by an influence network. It's the information that's missing that they oppress or they don't give you all the details, that are, but and that's some of the channels I like it that it's it's equal. I mean they look at both sides and it's the lack of information as well as
It,
what's even disseminated. It's not truthful or wrong or it's totally misinformed, leaving
or
it to
missing.
the
Yeah, like,
consumer.
There,
yep.
there's
Yeah, yeah,
there's the objective evidence that I think David we're trying to get to,
yeah,
but
exactly.
many of the reasons why not all the information is public is because it has the potential to spawn other derivative problems.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
We do
so
crazy, yes, angry,
and the
violent things.
security, for example, if I was a witness, I might be threatened because I gave my point of view as a witness.
Absolutely correct.
So that'll start building on, but the basis and the premise, I think, of this is great and it's attractive, but we have to be mindful of the consequences of participating at this level.
I know, right? It's like the bystander law. Like, do you
Yeah.
stop and save a life, or else you get sued? Where's the protection if we're doing a monumental important thing, you
And then
know?
we want real people to contribute, but then we have to sort of mask that because of the
Oh yeah.
threat, and therefore we cycle through this.
Yes.
Can we trust it? Can we not? The identity is protected. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a big
Liabilities.
tension,
I know. You're
but
right.
I love the potential for it. I just think we have to resolve some of the other peripheral consequences.
I agree.
W- Well, I would love to be in conversation with anyone who wants to help um, refine this concept. So be in touch if you D, I hear you and we're in contact so we can, and Suzanne as well, if you all are interested and anyone else want to talk about this concept of a decentralized intelligence agency. And let me cap this off. So Michelle has asked if it's okay to do her presentation. I'm going to cap this part off and then we're getting towards we're at the end of this scheduled time. But what I'm going to do is I'll close this up in the next 2 minutes. And then for anyone who's able to stay another 15 or 20 minutes, I highly recommend it because Michelle's project is really interesting. Aldo, great to have you here, and we'll see you next time. I'm recording this, so this will all be available if you can't stay. So I want to say that, like I said, as I said earlier, the DCEIA is already happening. It has nothing to do with me, although I would like to be part of it, right? What I've conceptualized is a structure that can support this movement so that it could be better. And the hypothetical, the reasoning behind this is that everything is better with a meta layer. And it isn't quite that it's automatically better, but if you design it, everything can be improved with a well-designed meta layer. And what I want to also point out is something that's coming to me through this process today is that a new meta layer primitive is this notion of a shared structure. Ying had it, and so does the decent with the threaded understanding. That is a shared structure. So is a timeline. In that same way is a shared structure. I don't know Ying if you see it, but the threaded understanding and the timeline are very similar. They're not the same, but they are very similar in that we're creating something that we can all look at and we can all put information and we can all contest things and affirm things. And whoever comes can see the whole history of it. So I think this is really important that we have identified through this design challenge a new meta layer primitive. Jack?
Speaking of shared structures, um, many years ago, a woman named Susan Lee Starr was an ethnographer who got assigned to the worm researchers. Now, when I say worm researchers, these are people that are studying a little tiny worm that has a very small nervous system and all manner of things that allows them to do practical research on creatures which are not humans. And what she discovered was that it was a collaborative effort of biologists, physicists, chemists, neurologists, blah, 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 etc. And none of them spoke the same vocabulary. So they invented a shared object, which she gave the name boundary object. Now,
Hmm.
here's a modern example of a boundary object. It is a chalkboard. Now, the
Mm.
chalkboard, somebody can write some notes on a chalkboard and you can sit there and copy the notes and you can go up and add some comments to it and you can do stuff, okay? This is a very trivial thing, but she and her eventual husband, uh, Jeffrey Bowker, coined the term boundary infrastructure. That is the plumbing and wiring that allows boundary objects to exist.
Yeah. It's interesting. We have boundary infrastructure in the meta layer book, and I consider that a meta layer can be a boundary infrastructure. So I think you're definitely
Fundamentally, that's
speaking.
exactly right. Because you can't predict what the meta layer is going to have as boundary objects, but you're building a boundary infrastructure which enables the emergence, keyword, of boundary objects. They are also known by another term, liminal object. I'll give you a quick example. When you go as a facilitator of a town hall, to use an example, you're going to get people with violent disagreement. And what the facilitator does is not direct them, but draw a diagram, which we call a dialogue map, of what they're saying. What questions are they asking? What arguments are they making? And what answers do they have? And how do they build on the answers? And blah, blah, blah. And it's a tree rooted in some initial presumed question. The amusing thing about it is when you go to a town hall, nobody sees you doing that. They're just yelling and shouting and not listening. And when you stop them and say, would you guys tell me if I'm capturing what you're thinking? And they stop and they look at the graph. It's not in their head. It's out there. And now they're listening. They're reading each node. And frequently as not, you'll hear somebody say, geez, Joe, I didn't know that's what you were thinking. Because he wasn't listening. Okay, boundary objects can be that.
I'm really glad that you brought this out. It brings some more concepts into our thought space. So I really appreciate those comments, Jack. Thank you. Um, I think at this point, I'm just going to say a couple more things, and then anyone who doesn't have much more time can take off. But we will then, after that, allow Michelle the time to present her project. So I want to say that the breaking out of design challenge, excuse me, the breaking out of silos design challenge has been very successful in my mind. Um, the three projects that have come out of this are all very interesting to me. And I've had some conversations with some other people on the team, including Dee and a couple other folks, that this is actually a concept that we can scale out and that we can use this concept um, on an ongoing basis. And I'm thinking that at least in my mind, I'd like to continue with these types of design challenges throughout this year, the breaking out of silos. And maybe next year we do a different one, but this seems like a very rich substrate for us to be operating within. And I would like to open it up for other people for people to continue developing these ideas and creating new ideas, submitting them, and then presenting them. Maybe once a month we can have a showcase, or who knows, if there's a lot, we could do it once a week. But let's say a month from now that we would have another design showcase for any designs that get submitted in the next month. And so you can use the same form, etc. And yeah, I think it would be really exciting. And it's an experiment. We'll see. Maybe it fizzles out in a month, but it's open. If you have ideas you'd like to build upon them, please do so. Go ahead and fill out the form. I'll put the link to all the breaking out materials, and we'll be developing it more as well. So let's see where we can take this. Then I want to mention that there's Go Meta, the Year of Context tomorrow, and then Jack's presentation on Friday called Seeing the Meta Level. And is there anything else? Oh, I guess one more reminder that we do want people to take on roles. So be thinking about what kind of roles that you would be willing to commit with respect to the Meta Layer Initiative. We'll elucidate what those are at some other point. But anyway, I just want to put that in your mind and say, yeah, this is the year for us to go meta. So if you've got to go, take off. If not, Michelle, are you ready to present?
Can you hear me?
Michelle?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Hello.
can. Hi.
Hi. Hello everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Michelle from Kenya, and I'm happy to be here today. So for me, I don't have slides, but I've just shared my document submission in the chat, and I'll just walk you through my submission called Active Directly. Personally, I kept thinking about how the same claims keep circulating everywhere, on social media, WhatsApp, radio, and even community conversations. And every time we encounter them, it's like we're seeing something for the first time, like the context is gone, the reasoning is gone, and trust reset. So people have to decide again and again, like, is this true? Is it false? Who said it? And should I believe? So over time, that's definitely exhausting, and it slowly weakens community participation and trust. And what I realized is that this is not only a misinformation problem, but also a coordination problem, whereby verification today happens in isolated moments and on isolated platforms. The explanation behind a judgment doesn't travel, and so uncertainty gets hidden, and trust ends up being about who speaks the loudest instead of why is something believed. So communities keep repeating the same debates, like they have no shared memory. So, and that's why active really resonates with the community with no memory use case primitive. So the main question I'm exploring is, what would it look like if civic claims didn't reset every time they reappeared? And also, what if they carried their context with them, like where they came from, how confident we are about them, and the reasoning behind that confidence? So Active explores this by treating verification as a coordination layer rather than content moderation. So claims exist in simple, visible states like true, false, misleading, unverified, or unknown, with confidence levels, sources, and explanations that stay visible. So uncertainty is hidden, and low confidence cases are flagged for human review. So I can quickly show the website. Just a minute. I'm sharing the link in the chat. Just a minute.
Do you want to share your screen, Michelle?
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen.
Okay, great. While Michelle is sharing her screen, I just want to say that these conversations are not happening anywhere else in the world right now, and they haven't been happening. And I'm just happy that we're all here and having them because they need to be had. We can see your screen.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, um, so currently the website is a bit rough right now because I've been making some changes, but it works well enough as a proof of concept. So just to make this more concrete, one gets to the website, then enters a claim. So for instance, you enter this claim. Then after entering this claim, you click the verify claim button, and then you get the context. So you know, like I mentioned about the labels, that is true, false, misleading, or unknown. So for this case, it's unknown because currently the data I've entered for this website is currently focusing on national cybersecurity laws in Kenya. So of which it's totally unrelated to this claim we have here. So after entering that, we have the summary, then we have the sources that is in relation to this claim that's entered here. Then we have the classification reasoning. So for classification reasoning, it depends on the similarity, the source reliability. Okay, first of all, for similarity, in that I implemented like some kind of AI algorithm that involves embedding and also vector search, of which, like, when one enters a claim, there's a vector search that is happening within the database to actually see if the claim is actually somehow matching with what I'm having in the website. So also with regards to resource reliability, say for sources like, is it from, say, a government document? Is it from a official website? Is it from social media like Twitter? So of which, if it's from a social media like Twitter, it ranks lower. Then there is also the fact match and the source count. Yeah, so aside from that, we can also play the audio. I don't know if
Kenya launched a national
if you
digital
guys can
literacy
hear that.
program for youth in 2023.
Yeah, then afterwards you can also mark it if this is correct or incorrect, just for the purpose of getting to see how I can improve the website. Say for this case it's correct, then you submit your feedback. Then after the feedback, one is prompted to verify claims that are submitted by the community, so that like they are submitted to the community to actually vote if this claim is actually true or false. So say for now, yes, so for now there are no claims to verify, and yeah, that's it. So also aside from that, currently it supports English and Swahili. By clicking this button, it switches to Swahili. Okay, just to demonstrate that, let's have that claim again. So when you switch this button, it switches to Swahili, of which I'm hoping to add a couple of more languages in the future. Then, yeah, that's it. So aside from that, it supports all devices and all bandwidth connectivity levels. In terms of bandwidth connectivity levels, it also supports feature phones whereby one can either can verify claim via SMS. Okay, let me try switching the language. Just a minute. Yeah, so you can verify via SMS or USSD. Yeah, of which these two work entirely offline. And also aside from that, you can also as well download this and have it on your desktop or on your phone as well. And it also supports offline caching, so meaning one can able to verify claim even when offline within an app. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. Let me stop sharing the screen and come back to the broader idea. So
Are
yeah,
there any oh, good.
okay. So essentially the goal is to simply make civic reasoning visible and reusable, and it's also designed to with real access conditions in mind, like different languages, local bandwidth, and smartphone environments. Because when access determines who can verify or question information, but overall participation becomes uneven, and without shared civic context, participation becomes reactive, trust becomes performative, and communities keep restarting instead of learning. So active is about helping civic understanding accumulate rather than disappear every time a claim shows up again. So that's my submission, and happy to clarify or answer questions. And I'm also open to suggestions on how active can be improved. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts about this?
I have a question on the source of the claim. What if the source is biased by a political party or media or particular group, activist group? How do you determine, how do you verify, I guess, something is correct or incorrect, or it, it can be subjective, right?
And when you talk within the context of a claim, like, is there a claim topic? Like, maybe I'm missing something. Like, a claim of what?
Yeah, so okay, to answer first of all Ing's question, for the claim, currently for that I'm adding like data from verifiable sources, but they are actually like kind of say rated with according to how reliable they are. So for instance, if it's from social media, they are rated lower, and if it's from a verified government source, it's rated higher. Like by government source, I mean like something that is factual, like say constitution or something of the sort. That's actually rated higher. And so yeah, so that's about like the source issue. And then to answer Susan's question, for the claims, like currently, yes, the initially active was.
What?
You just went out, Michelle, at least for me. Do you all hear her?
No.
Not the last sentence.
Okay.
Like, yeah, an example.
She's
Like,
in Kenya, so
I'm sure. I know.
sometimes it goes in and out.
I think
I know
she dropped.
she goes, the claim is, and she went out.
Is she is she is
No, she's
she
still on.
on?
She
Oh,
is
there
still
she is. She's
on,
still on.
but we couldn't hear her.
Michelle?
Mhm.
Huh. Their internet is less reliable than ours, and it looks like she just dropped off. Um,
Like, do you know the claim? I mean, I'm trying to put it in perspective. Like, what's the claim?
I well, the claim, it appears that you can submit a claim, and it could be about, well, right now it only supports cybersecurity laws, it sounds like, but her intention, I think, is to be able to support all kinds of things that are relevant for Kenya.
Mm.
Like a
Well,
claim of a
I
cyber event, the claim of I'm totally missing it. I mean, like the claim that they were
I
attacked, the claim that they're innocent of the attack, that they weren't the cause of the attack. Like I don't
I
understand.
think any of the above. Did a cyber, well, in this case, it's just because she's populated it with information around cybersecurity, but it it could be, did a cybersecurity attack happen, or what I think whatever is um something that someone wants to understand around subjects that would be important for people in Kenya was my understanding of where she was going with it.
I think she's back.
So I was having some
Michelle,
issues on my.
Yeah.
we hear you now. Do you want to address Suzanne's question about
Yeah, what's the
the
specific claim? Like, what's the concern?
Oh yeah, so at first Active was built to solve national cybersecurity laws in Kenya claims, of which I'm hoping to expand to other more topics, say related to health and also like other sectors like also finance and trade as well. So yeah.
Well, she wants to know what, for example, would be the type of claim that this would be useful for, like in terms of cybersecurity, for example,
Mm-hmm.
what do you anticipate?
Okay, so when I built Active, I anticipated like say okay, it mainly focuses on the national cybersecurity laws. So, essentially, like most of the data that it was getting from the Constitution of Kenya. So, like say for instance, like someone has like some kind of like issue understanding the Constitution of Kenya, of which actually at the time I was building Active, that was actually the main topic here because like people were concerned with how the laws how the government was changing the laws at the time, and they really wanted to understand how it affected them. So the idea was for people to actually like enter something they kind of already know or have an idea about and actually verify if that claim is actually true with regards to the new changes made to the constitution. Yeah.
Does that make sense, Suzanne? You got that?
Oh, yeah, I don't know that I understand the current situation, but as far as, yeah, yeah, I would have to learn more. Yeah, I'm not a cyber expert, obviously, but sounds, oh God. Yeah, but I don't have a claim. I don't think I do. Or try being, how about being in the vetting process? Whoa, then you kind of don't know.
Well, Michelle,
Uh,
Vasa?
yeah, no, I was just gonna say I found it to be interesting. It seems like a step towards like being able to produce confidence in the information that you're looking at. And I could see how in across different industries, like if she said healthcare, that there might be another tier or class of being able to identify whether something is like verified or isn't based off of the different industries, because it would depend based off of the different systems and stuff that are producing the information and the type of industry or marketplace that you're looking for or sourcing claims from. I think, but I felt like it was a step in the right direction of where things were going and being able to source and like the social media versus something coming from a reliable government source and stuff. I think that there have been different platforms that have started to try to identify sources that have, through community consensus are producing valuable data or valuable information that can be more trusted than other places and other sources. Not everybody has access to or knows where to go to find those types of things. So it just seemed like a step in the right direction. I look forward to seeing how it looks across other industries and stuff as well.
Yeah. Sounds like we need the DCI program. I'll sign up.
And I see there's a comment from Micah. He says the offline feature will be useful for most countries in Africa and areas that experience internet access in cases of internet shutdown.
Yeah.
Are there any more comments or questions for Michelle?
Very good, Michelle. When I understand
Yeah,
it,
very good.
it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that you're designing something for the African context. You're dealing with the multiple languages, you're dealing with different types of devices, and also the need to the different bandwidth situations that people are dealing with as well. So it seems like it's something that, as Micah said, would work for many African countries, and probably there's a lot of places in the world where uh, they don't have the types of connectivity that we have in uh, urban America or in Europe. So I think it's great for people to be thinking the way you're thinking to create tools that actually work in these other types of environments that someone like myself, I'm not even familiar with that, right? I don't know about all these other devices and internet shutdowns and things, but it is a reality. So I applaud you for applying this type of thinking to your local situation. So if there's not any more questions or comments, I think it's uh, time for us to close. Going once, going twice.
Thank you, David, for all your time and everybody here. It's pretty cool.
Thank you, David, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
It,
you.
yeah.
Thank you all.
Okay.
This is a conversation that's not happening anywhere else. So thank you all. It's
Okay.
really, really amazing.
All righty. Have a good day, everybody.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Go Meta.
Thank you, everyone.